Have you ever noticed how your mind whispers sweet lies, convincing you that happiness is always just out of reach, that the next achievement, the next possession, the next applause will finally make you whole? What if I told you that everything your mind promises is a mirage? That the very thing you chase is often the very thing your mind is running from you? Today, a monk will show us the hidden patterns of our thoughts, the subtle deceptions that rule our lives, and the simple formula for seeing through the illusions that cloud our clarity. Imagine standing in the middle of a still lake, the water perfectly calm, reflecting the sky above. Now imagine tossing a stone into that lake. The ripples distort the reflection, and for a moment, the truth of the calm water is hidden. Our mind does the same. It tosses stones of worry, desire, fear, and expectation, and suddenly, we can't see the reflection of our own inner peace. But the monk teaches that you don't need to chase the ripples. You only need to observe them, and in that observation, the water returns to stillness. The first deception our mind tells us is that control equals power. We convince ourselves that if we can manipulate every situation, predict every outcome, hold on tightly to every person in every moment, we will be secure. But the monk says real power isn't in control, it's in acceptance. Imagine a river flowing. You can't stop the river without breaking yourself. You can't force the water to turn left when its nature is to go right. But you can learn to float, to ride the current with awareness. That is strength. That is calm. That is living without being dragged by the torrents of thought. The second lie is that our identity is fixed. I am this, the mind whispers. I am that. And we cling to these labels: successful, smart, kind, unlucky, broken. But the monk shows us that the self is fluid. Like clouds crossing the sky, our thoughts, our emotions, our circumstances pass. They are not permanent, and when we treat them as permanent, we suffer unnecessarily. Imagine watching clouds in the afternoon sky. You might see shapes of dragons, castles, familiar faces, but you do not mistake the clouds themselves for what they appear to be. Our mind does the opposite. It convinces us to cling to illusions, to believe they define reality. That is the second trick. The third deception is that time is linear and that our worth is measured by accumulation. The mind tells us, when you achieve this, when you own that, when you are recognized by others, then you will be complete. The monk points out the irony. Completion is not something you reach by accumulation, but by letting go. Picture an autumn tree. Leaves fall, season after season. The tree does not try to cling to each leaf, it releases. And in that release, it is whole. The monk teaches that each moment contains completeness, but our mind distracts us with endless not yets and almosts. We never see the fullness because we are looking through a lens of craving. Then comes the fourth lie, perhaps the most insidious. The mind tells us that emotion is truth. When anger rises, it says, "This is who you are." This is reality. When fear whispers, it says, "The world is dangerous. Protect yourself at all cost." The monk shows that emotions are not commands, they are signals, temporary energies passing through, like wind stirring the surface of the water. If we mistake the wind for the lake, we will always be tossed about, never resting in our own clarity. The fifth illusion is that happiness exists outside of us. We look to people, places, achievements, and yet the monk points to a quiet room, a moment of stillness, and asks, "Did you ever notice how happiness is always present when the mind stops narrating?" Like a candle flame that illuminates the darkness around it, awareness itself brings light. When we stop chasing external sparks, we see the glow within. The monk's formula, simple yet profound, is threefold. First, observe without judgment. Sit with your thoughts, your cravings, your fears, as if you were a stranger watching a play. Notice the patterns without reacting. You will be surprised how much of your mind's chatter disappears when it is simply observed. Second, release attachment. The monk says, when you grasp, you suffer. When you let go, you are free. Release doesn't mean inaction. It means you engage with the world without binding your peace to its outcomes. Float with the river. Don't fight it. Third, return to the present moment. Our minds are constantly bargaining with the past and the future. If only I had, I should have. The monk tells us that life only exists in the present. The past is memory, the future is imagination, and the present is reality. Anchor yourself in it, listen, breathe, be. There is a question the monk always asks: do you own your mind, or does your mind own you? If you think you own it, consider for a moment how often your thoughts hijack your joy, your clarity, your relationships, your sleep. If it is not owned, then it is a servant disguised as a master. The twist is simple. Mastery isn't about changing the world. It isn't about becoming stronger than everyone else. Mastery is about seeing clearly when the mind lies, about catching the stone before it disturbs the water, about recognizing the cloud before it claims your sky. Here is a visualization the monk often uses. Imagine your thoughts as birds in a vast sky. Some fly low, some high, some dark, some white. You can chase them, trap them, command them, but they will always resist. Or you can simply watch. The sky does not become the birds. And in that watching, the sky is free. You are the sky. Your mind is the weather. When you realize this, fear loses its power, desire loses its grip, sadness passes like a storm, and clarity, calmness, strength remain. This is why the monk smiles so often. Not because he has no challenges, but because he no longer believes the illusions. He has seen the tricks of his mind, and in seeing, he is liberated. The mind, left unchecked, is a storyteller. It tells you tales of doom, tales of triumph, tales of inadequacy. And you, without awareness, take them as reality. The monk teaches that when you question the story, when you step back and ask, is this true? Or is this just my mind weaving another illusion? You reclaim your sovereignty. Another tool the monk shares is the rhythm of breath. Every inhale, you acknowledge presence. Every exhale, you release attachment. It is a simple anchor, a constant reminder that reality is unfolding, regardless of your mental commentary. With practice, this alone creates a reservoir of calm that no external chaos can drain. Yet, the monk warns, awareness without compassion is cold. Observing your mind is not an exercise in criticism, it is an act of gentle curiosity. When the mind fabricates fear, meet it with understanding, not judgment. When it dreams of desires, observe without clinging. Compassion is the lens that transforms observation into wisdom. And here is a final insight. The monk points out that most of our suffering comes not from life itself, but from believing the stories our minds tell about life. The mind says, you must be more, do more, have more, while in truth you already are. The monk invites you to step out of the illusion, to see the mind's lies for what they are. Passing clouds, ripples on a lake, birds in the sky. Step out of the narrative and you find stillness. You find strength. You find freedom. Imagine living each day with this clarity. Decisions become easier because they are guided by presence, not fear. Relationships deepen because you are no longer projecting your unmet needs onto others. Success changes shape because it is no longer measured by acquisition but by integrity, calm, and the capacity to respond rather than react. And in moments of adversity, the monk smiles. The monk smiles because he knows that storms are temporary, that the sky remains, and that peace is not a reward, it is a choice. So I ask you now, what stones are you tossing into your lake? Which clouds are you mistaking for reality? Which birds are you chasing, thinking they define the sky? The monk's invitation is simple, yet radical. Watch. Release. Return. Own the moment. Own your mind. And in that ownership, you will discover a calm and powerful life that no external chaos can disturb. Life, the monk says, is not something to conquer, but something to witness. And the irony is beautiful. When you stop trying to control, when you stop chasing, when you stop believing the mind's stories, life itself becomes the masterful story you had been seeking all along. Your mind will still whisper. It will still fabricate fears, desires, and false narratives. But now you have the lens to see through it. The water can be still again, the sky can be clear, the birds can fly without dragging you into their patterns. And finally, remember this. The calm and powerful life is not found in circumstances, accolades, or possessions. It is built moment by moment, thought by thought, breath by breath, in the conscious observation of the mind and the deliberate choice to release its lies. As you leave this video, carry this with you. Observe without judgment. Release without fear. Return to the present without apology. And if this message resonated, if it sparked a moment of clarity, take a step further, like, comment, share your reflections, and subscribe to Echoes of Greatness for more insights that cut through the noise and illuminate the path to a life of calm, clarity, and power. The monk's wisdom is timeless yet immediate. It is here now, waiting for you. The question remains, will you step into it, or will you continue to let the mind's stories dictate the quality of your life? Watch, release, return, the calm, the power, the clarity within you.